retail. Kind of that faster paced things like LFR and LFG and like the mythic pluses where you get all those different like affixes and stuff and, you know, going really fast and kind of like the almost arcade-like gameplay that is retail WoW. I don't know if arcade is the right word, but you know what I'm talking about. It's very fast-paced, mechanically very involved, but it kind of loses some of those slower-paced RPG elements, kind of loses some of those like open world elements. It's a lot more linear and things like questing. You know, the things that make retail WoW as snappy as it is as compared to the kind of slog and grindiness and like RPG kind of slow burn that you get from, I'm thinking who to ban while I'm talking. It's very difficult. No, not that. People want to play that. So as they would develop Classic Plus, they would not go this way. They've already got this game, so that they'd make a different game. Right? It would go forward with new content and new experiences that are developed to keep it kind of closer to the gameplay style that we expect from Classic WoW. So like slower, maybe grindier, not that kind of like snappy gameplay or snappy experience, arcade experience that you get from retail. Like keep it more RPG focused, more like a Dungeons and Dragons game. Yeah. And they could change all of the lore and all of the content and do things, I guess, differently, right? Come at it from a different direction, especially lore-wise. Not casual focus? I don't know. I don't think that Classic WoW is inherently unfriendly to casuals. It's just different, right? Classic WoW versus retail WoW are very different games. Sometimes I don't even think they belong in the same genre, but if they are in the same genre of MMORPG, they're at very different ends of the MMORPG's scale. You know what I mean? They're the way they play is pretty different. Who do I want to ban? I want to ban a healer. I'm going to ban Anduin. So I don't think Blizzard will actually do it either, because it would then need a development team just as large as retail WoW, because it's basically a new retail WoW, and it won't happen. But if it did, it would be really cool. But practically, like practicality being like a practical thing, money-wise, time-wise, resource, labor-wise, it'll never fucking happen. But if it did, it would be super cool. Because then you could explore a lot of what-ifs. And if you... Did anybody ever read Marvel What If? They're actually going to make a TV series on Disney Plus, Marvel What If. But Marvel What If was a comic series, and they would just make weird shit happen. Like, what if, you know, Spider-Man died? Or like, what if? And it's just weird stuff. Get really out there. What if Captain America picked up Thor's hammer? Oh God, it actually happened. But like, what if? You know? What if Tony Stark decided he should rule the world? That was actually one of the what ifs. Was what if Tony Stark went evil and decided he was better than everybody else and he should rule the world? That was a hilarious what if. So you could, some of those could be explored if they did a Classic Plus. Like Roxas is saying, what if Anduin died before Varian came back? Like, what if when Marshall Windsor, like if you're Alliance and you're attuning to Onyxia, when you march into the throne room, what if like Anduin runs away? Anduin runs away, and then Bolvar and Onyxia and Windsor do their whole thing. But what if Onyxia just ate Anduin straight up? He's like a 6-year-old child, and what if she just ate him and swallowed him right there? How would it change World of Warcraft going forward if Varian returns from where he was being, you know, a slave of the Horde and lost his memory? What if he comes back and Onyxia just ate his kid? And he's like, hello, Bolvar, I have returned. I'm Chris Metzen, and where is my son, Anduin? And it's like, shit, man, he dead. Like, how would that change WoW? going forward. So one of my favorite what ifs would be, so in Vanilla WoW, we go into the Burning Crusade, right? We reopen the Dark Portal and we go to Outlands, the broken husk of Draenor, and we do stuff, right? And we like fuck with Illidan and we do stuff. But what if instead of that, and then after the Burning Crusade is Wrath of the Lich King, Arthas awakes from his sleepy time on the frozen throne, and we have Wrath of the Lich King. But what if Arthas wakes up early? What if Arthas wakes up before we go back through the Dark Portal, and Arthas is like, I'm gonna fuck with their shit, and Arthas actually wholeheartedly invades Azeroth. If you remember when Wrath of the Lich King launched, like the pre-launch event, where Arthas soft invades Stormwind and Orgrimmar, and there's like undead there, and you fight them, and they're kind of like Weenie Hut Jr. It's not really a big deal, but it's enough to entice us to go to Northrend. All that, right? Right. What if instead of that, Arthas goes balls to the wall in his invasion? Yeah, it's like an alternate timeline, exactly. That's the idea of Classic Plus. That instead of just following, there's a couple ideas for what will happen once we reach the end of Classic. Up to and including nothing at all. Just that's it. Naxxramas comes out and there's no more content. Have fun, Classic WoW. But Classic Plus is the idea that the game will continue with an alternate story and an alternate like mechanic. Like instead of developing into the WoW that we have right now, in retail, it develops into a different mechanical, like a different kind of WoW experience with a different story. But yeah, what would happen if Arthas went balls out in his invasion of Kalimdor and the Eastern Kingdoms, rather than trying to, because if you remember from Wrath of the Lich King, while Arthas is fucking with our shit, he's never like hardcore fucking with our shit. Arthas is trying to identify and like suss out the most powerful people and characters, us, the players, right? He's trying to entice them to come to the Frozen Throne so he can kill us and raise us as Death Knights. And then he uses us to lead his armies and conquer the rest of Azeroth. That was Arthas' whole very convoluted and stupid plan. You know that gif of Tony Stark where it's like, not a good plan. But that's Arthas' really dumb plan. That's why he never leaves Icecrown, and he's like, he's always trying to like, he shows up like a Scooby-Doo villain in every zone, trying to entice us to come to Icecrown. And he lets us literally build like the Argent Crusade, like 2 feet from his house and stuff, because he wants us to come in. And then he succeeds, kinda. He does kill all of the players, and he's resurrecting us as Death Knights when Tyrion Forging cheats and gets his like one god tier headshot and breaks Frostmourne. But what if Arthas didn't mess around with any of that stupidity and just balls out all of his undead, just flooded the world with his dudes? That would vastly change how that conflict with the undead and with the Scourge goes. Right, yeah. So that would be really... So we get Naxxramas, and then it actually just escalates from there, right? Naxxramas landing in the Eastern Plaguelands is just step one of the "I'ma fuck with your shit" from Arthas. And we go into a different version of Wrath of the Lich King, where we actually experience the Wrath of the Lich King versus the weird Scooby-Doo villain plot of the Lich King. Another cool what if that I think personally would be really cool to explore is, we learned in Legion and kind of before Legion with the book and the pre-patch events that actually Illidan was right all along. So the reason what Illidan is up to in the Burning Crusade when we go to Black Temple is he's building his portals to go to Argus to fight the Burning Legion in person, because Illidan at this point actually much earlier than this point, has already figured out that you can't defeat the Burning Legion permanently on Azeroth. They have to, he knows that demons respawn in the Twisting Nether, and that you actually have to kill them on Argus or in the Twisting Nether for them to die permanently. So Illidan has already figured out that thing that we don't figure out until Legion, and he's actively working on making his Demon Hunter army and making this portal to Argus so that he can attempt to actually kill Sargeras, right? Illidan's like working on that plan. So what if instead of us going to Outlands and laying siege to Illidan and ruining his whole like plan, what if Illidan is able to explain his plan to us and we're like, oh my god, that's a great idea, and we actually aid Illidan in the assault on Argus many years earlier. Like, what would have happened if we had been able, like, if Illidan had been able to communicate like a normal person and tell us what his plan was so many years earlier, and we actually fought the Burning Legion much earlier? What would have happened? Would it have been good, bad, otherwise? Who knows? It's something we could have explored. What if Jaina actually? That's too. We're past that. That's a Warcraft 3 thing where Jaina ditches Arthas at Stratholme. We don't have an opportunity to go back on that because that would mean that's already happened in Classic WoW. We're a little past that. He's already the Lich King at this point. But there's all kinds of what ifs like that. That what if one or two specific things went a little bit differently? What different encounters and history would we create? Right? Things get real weird with just a couple changes and basically give us a very different World of Warcraft.
So much for their fortifications. Thank you, my
friend. One what if that I like to laugh about that we actually talked about on stream the other day. So in Vanilla WoW, the Alliance get a quest to kill Nathanos Blightcaller. If you're playing in BFA, you know all about Nathanos, right? Well, the Alliance, he's hanging out in the Eastern Plaguelands in Classic WoW, and the Alliance get a quest to go and kill him, which what happens in the lore, #Kai lore, is Nathanos' body is nasty. If you go view Nathanos in Classic WoW, he's got one of your standard like undead bodies, and his face is all busted, and he's just really gross. And the Alliance kill him. Okay, he gross, and Sylvanas re-raises him, which is fine. However, that's like her boyfriend, and she doesn't want her boyfriend to be like real gross. So what Sylvanas does is they actually hunt down Nathanos' cousin, whose name I forgot. He's not important, because they kill Nathanos' cousin and then transfer Nathanos' soul into his cousin's less gross looking, hotter body. Yeah. So that's kind of the reason that, or the lore reason, besides that he gets a unique model, that's Nathanos' model looks so nice, because they literally like freshly kill an alive person very carefully and cleanly so that he could be hot. And then put his spirit in there. Right? Sylvanas wanted her husbando body pillow to be a little less gross looking. But what if that's not how it goes down? What if Sylvanas never puts Nathanos' body or his soul in a new body? What if they never murder his cousin to put his bod? What if Nathanos just never gets resurrected at all? There is no champion of the Banshee Queen. The Alliance kill him, and he's dead. That's it. That would probably change a few things that Sylvanas does, not having her boo.
Fort annihilated.
Yeah, what if Nathanos is pissed that Sylvanas is like, hey man, your old body was ugly, so we're gonna put you in your cousin's body. Is that cool? I would much rather look at your cousin than you. And he's like, wait a minute, what the hell? Ah! Since there's one in this game, there's a Kel'Thas in this game. If we go with the what if of us not assaulting Black Temple and not like messing with Illidan, like there's a lot that could go on with Kel'Thas too if we don't go actually just murder. So Kel'Thas was working with Illidan, and then Kel'Thas is like, Illidan is an idiot. He's like, he's not talking to me, he's not answering my calls, he's stupid. I'm gonna go join the Burning Legion. But if we don't royally mess with Illidan's plans, there's a good chance that Kel'Thas never actually turns to the Burning Legion for fel magic. And Kel'Thas is alive for a lot of this, which could vastly change what happens with the Blood Elves and then the Horde. Right? Kel'Thas is the prince of the Blood Elves and the actual faction leader of the Blood Elves. We end up getting, what's his name? Lorthamar, because Kel'Thas shacking up with the Burning Legion is obviously not cool TM, and we go murderize him. So Lorthamar stays in charge, and Lorthamar joins the Horde because he has nowhere else to go. But if we still have Kel'Thas, what happens with the Blood Elves? Assuming Kel'Thas like isn't dead and isn't a total bad guy.
Taking out our cavalry won't win you the war, Drekthar.
Nice. Because Kel'Thas, in my opinion, is kind of an interesting character. And like the way Kel'Thas gets done dirty, man, by history. And I would love to see a second chance for Kel'Thas to do literally anything else. It's probably why they're bringing him back as a ghost in Shadowlands, or that's the rumor that Kel'Thas's ghost, Kel'Thas's spirit, is one that we're going to interact with in Shadowlands, because Kel'Thas is a really interesting guy. And yeah. Dude, speaking of what ifs and Whitemane, what if, when it's uncovered that the leader of the Scarlet Crusade is actually a demon in disguise, the Scarlet Crusade has a change of heart and realizes they've been led astray and like becomes a little less crazy, realigns themselves with like the Alliance and the Paladins and the newly reformed Tyrion Fordring, because right at the end of Vanilla, Tyrion Fordring's like, I'm about being a paladin again. We feed him a bunch of worm meat and give him a pep talk, and he feels a lot better. So like Tyrion Fordring and the Scarlet Crusade reform together, and instead of forming the Argent Crusade, Tyrion Fordring joins the Scarlet Crusade, and it's the Scarlet Crusade that actually leads the counter assault on Arthas when he invades Azeroth. Yeah, right, because Arthas does the whole beginning of Wrath of the Lich King, where Arthas like pseudo attacks. He attacks Orgrimmar and Stormwind and kind of entices us to come to Northrend and fight him there, and we do, and then the whole expansion happens, right? But What if instead Arthas like wholesale attacks Azeroth, the Scarlet Crusade like gets down to business to defeat the Huns, and we have Tyrion Fordring as the new Scarlet High Lord, and like Whitemane becomes like a major like positive character, right? Whitemane's a really cool character in WoW. There's not a lot of like her story fleshed out because I mean she dies like twice, so what are you gonna do? But Kill, what are you doing, man? But Whitemane's really powerful. So one of the reasons that Whitemane is picked to be one of the new 4 horsemen once Tyrion Fordring is unavailable is because of how powerful she is. That she can resurrect people in battle, in combat, like just bring a fool back from the dead is actually like really crazy powerful. And that's why she's got such a high position within the Scarlet Crusade, even though she's very young. So anyway, what if we had that? What if we had like a good guy Scarlet Crusade that we align with to fight this new Scourge invasion? That'd be tight, right? That'd be shit. It'd be good shit, but probably will never happen. Greatly desire a WoW What If series. I know, right? WoW has a lot of great stories, and I think that's why it lends itself to like this what if speculation kind of thing so much. Because there's so many stories and storylines and characters happening that changing just a little bit could actually change a whole lot. And it really is a ripple effect of what if. And that's just from vanilla WoW. If you could actually go back to Warcraft 3 and make some minor changes, then holy shit, does shit get really weird.
Victory.
No, I don't think Blizzard will do any of it either. I don't hold out hope for it. I just think it would be very cool. And if somebody asked my opinion, if we got to vote, you don't vote for kings, but if you got to